In exactly a week, South Africans will head to the polls to elect new national and provincial governments. It's more than time for the 28 million registered voters to make up their minds. In the home straight to the 29th of May, Johannesburg Journal is looking into what the biggest parties nationally have to offer. Every day, we dive into a manifesto. The order in which the different parties are presented was decided by a draw. I'm Julien Trévian, you're watching Manifesto Explained on Johannesburg Journal. Today we talk about the African National Congress. The ruling party for the last 30 years could lose its majority for the first time. Opinion polls suggest it could get as little as 45% of the national votes. Cyril Ramaphosa is the current president of South Africa and leader of the ANC. The country has come a long way since the end of apartheid, but the journey is not over, the party says. In these contested elections, it is very keen on highlighting past successes and its role in SA's transformation. The ANC has 6 priorities: putting South Africa back to work, building an inclusive economy, tackling the high cost of living, investing in people, defending democracy and freedom, and building a better Africa and world. If re-elected, the ANC will commit to creating and sustaining 2.5 million jobs thanks to a variety of mechanisms: the Presidential Employment Stimulus, the National Youth Service with the SANDF, or by funding civil society organizations. It would also continue to monitor employment equity in the public and private sectors with tools such as Black economic empowerment. Labor-intensive and green technology sectors would be prioritized by the government. It would cultivate partnerships with non-state actors and abroad with the BRICS+. Taxes would be set on the export of essential materials such as cobalt, lithium or graphite. Core industries such as steel would be protected and the land reform would speed up. The government's Black Industrialist program would be expanded to support at least 2,000 companies. State banks would be created to facilitate access to capital for disadvantaged South Africans. The government would focus on giving universal access to internet connectivity, especially in schools, townships and rural areas. It would integrate alternative power sources to the grid such as nuclear, gas and hydropower. To tackle the cost of living, strengthening the social security system is one of the ANC's priorities. The SRD grant would become a non-employment grant and the government would ensure that the minimum wage keeps up with inflation. VAT exemptions on essential items would continue and community food gardens would be promoted to reduce hunger. The ANC wants to give more powers to the national and provincial governments to support and take over failing municipalities, particularly to provide clean water. All passenger rail lines would be reinstated and the network would expand further with high-speed rail between major hubs. The controversial NHI bill, which President Ramaphosa signed into law on the 15th of May, would be implemented by the next ANC government. It would also work on improving health infrastructure, training and developing telemedicine. A unique electronic health record would be introduced. Technical training would also be expanded. The state would continue building subsidized housing and upgrading informal settlements. Access to water, solar panels and geysers would become the norm. Policing methods would be modernized with the implementation of the Integrated Violence and Crime Prevention Strategy. A new data-driven approach would allocate resources to hotspots and the SAPS would have more boots on the ground. More capacity would be given to the Hawks to combat crime and anti-corruption agencies would be strengthened. The Investigative Directorate would become a permanent part of the NPA and lifestyle audits would be conducted across the civil service. The ANC wants to foster a culture of resistance to corruption. The party assures it has changed and learned from its mistakes and that it will make sure all its employees are held to account. To tackle gender-based violence, public campaigns against sexism, homophobia and toxic masculinity would be rolled out and victims would receive better support. The employment of foreign workers would be better regulated to give priority to South Africans, but the visa system would be facilitated. SA's foreign policy would be defined by the Freedom Charter, peace and friendship. The ANC would speed up the African Free Trade Area and promote peace and security on the continent. It would also push for reforms of the UN Security Council for developing nations to have a voice. This takes us to the end of this explainer. Thank you for watching. You can support Johannesburg Journal by subscribing and by liking, commenting and sharing this video. Manifesto Explained will be back tomorrow with a focus on the Freedom Front Plus. Until then, Salagatli.